because again there's a lot of jams, but then I arrive at 7:50, 55 or 56 or something like that, so I'll wait at the guard house. Usually there's a transporter gonna come and pick me up. But then there's a problem with the transporter issue, and then only 9 or nearly to 8:50 or something like that, then the organizer picked me up in Oyela. I mean, that's the problem when you can't drive. Because I was waiting for the transporter, I was waiting and I'm trying to call him, I couldn't reach him. And then I was waiting because I thought it was jam and maybe he was caught in the whole jam. But then I just realized he couldn't make it. He didn't come at all. And then the organizer just find out that okay, they couldn't come, so then they realize it and they come and pick me up. Right? But nonetheless, okay, this is our last class. I mean, in a sense, I was supposed to actually discuss this. Hello? Oh, hello. Hello. Okay. Okay, I was supposed to discuss about this too, last week. But then we have another problem that we encounter. The classes, the lecture hall was locked. There's a kind of somebody's trying to sabotage our class. I don't know, and I'm just kidding. I don't think so. But the lecture hall was locked. But we have a alternate discussion, which I think is quite good. And I've heard a lot of interesting views and things from. I think there's 6 of us or 7 of us or something of that sort. So we discussed about the crisis and the contradiction of capitalism. So that was basically what's so okay. For this particular sessions, what I'm planning to do is this: is to revisit back what do we learn from Smith, Ricardo, and Marx in a very general sense. Try to map out what are the things and what are the problems and here and there into a proper topography or something of that sort. And also wanted to get your views. Again, this is our last class, and I'm not going to teach much. Maybe if you have time, I'm not going to go through this. One of the main critics of towards Marx, which is I think is quite interesting to read, especially the mathematical parts. This is the bits of it. So okay, I provide something in the slides. You can refer to the slides even, but I realize my slides are a bit more complicated and technical. So this particular explanation is by Dr. I can't remember the name of the doctor, but he's actually a doctor, not a medical doctor, he's an economist who studied Marxisms and founded this particular website. It's called Capitalism 101. It's a very interesting website, by the way. It's there's a series of video on
Capital Volume 3.
There's a kind of some kind of a reflections upon Capital Volume 3 when he was reading Capital Volume 3.
Somebody read Capital.
So there's a law of value series where he put on a lot of videos and explanation videos and all those things.
In Marxist circles, you still find people.
So we're gonna look at that at the end of it. But before that, okay, do I need to use this though? I mean, can I just use the normal way, right? Okay.
Doesn't hurt your voice.
Yeah, I think it's better for me to talk this way, like it's more natural, and because once I get the mic, I feel like singing. So it's not gonna be helpful for me in a way. But nonetheless, so again, let's get a brief because it's good that we don't have that many, so I can talk to you more. Last time we have Amir, right? Amir, and Mr. Khaldun. No, sorry. Keep saying it right. Then Jeremy. Amir was not there. Afif. Yeah, I was there and you were there too, and you were missing for how many classes? I don't know. Only 2 classes. Okay. The other classes you went late, lah. You come late. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So okay. So what? Okay, let's get it because this is just basically discussion. Anybody like to raise their hand? Just give your opinions. But so far we've covered at least 3 scholars. The plan is to cover 5. We escaped the other 2. We missed out the other 2, which is basically Malthus and also John Stuart Mills. But at least we covered 3, which is one of the towering figures for history of economic thoughts. You can abandon the 2 though, because the 2 are somehow important in a way, but not as important as the 3 figures that we've learned so far. That is the founder of the modern neoclassical economics, in a way. Classical economics, which is the Adam Smith. The other one is David Ricardo. At least to me, he's the founder or the basis or the thinker that actually create the free market that we've learned today, not Adam Smith. I think Ricardo is the one that refines it and make it as it is, as the basis for the modern economies that we've learned so far. And of course, Marx is the antithesis to it. He was the one that somehow traumatized, become the ghost that destabilized the modern economy that being created before him, and somehow being still used and somehow being changed into many ways in the modern economic sense. So this particular Marx was the kind of antithesis to it. This is one particular guy that always tried to traumatize whatever we learned so far, and whatever you guys have learned from your classes. So I mean, okay, what are the things that you find? What are the general kind of lessons that you've learned so far that applies to all these three scholars? Anybody like to start first? No one. Come on.
I did it last week.
Oh, sorry.
I did it last week.
We did. Okay. It's okay. You still can participate in the class. Okay. Tell me, what are the things that you've learned so far?
I've missed out on a great deal of classes, but from what I've gathered from Adam Smith classes, it's I guess they're actually very concerned about the individual.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I guess these thinkers are actually very concerned about the individual himself or herself. Like Adam Smith talked about allowing the people to pursue the betterment of themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a kind of I would frame it in a moral way in a sense.
Yes,
There's a
yes,
kind of a sentiment, a kind of a moral concern, if you like, within the economy. What else?
The idea of freedom, I guess.
Freedom.
The idea of freedom itself.
What's that?
In basically Adam Smith said people should be free to increase their own prosperity, increase their own well-being.
This idea of a good life.
Yeah. What were the two things again? Ease of the body and peace of mind, right?
Peace of mind. Okay, we're gonna map out later, but that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? I mean, from this side of the class.
Give us something from Marx.
Sorry? Yeah.
Oh,
No, just
You
show
have
it. It's a very general sense.
you have
What
responsibility.
you guys did.
Alright.
At the end of the day, I want something you guys to not just learn the particulars, what the thinkers said, what are the thinkers think, and what are their ideas, but what are the general observation that you can get? What are the things that you can learn from the whole spectrum of the classical economics? And what you can learn from them, and how do you apply them to your own modern economic context? So there's a moral concern, which is quite true, because there's not much moral discussion within the economy. And also I think freedoms and all this particular thing, I think it's more of kind of a slightly metaphysical, and slightly discussing what are the nature of man. It's very philosophical in that sense, that where in classical economics you see the marriage between economics as a data, economics as a information, statistics, and kind of equation and mathematical numbers. With the philosophical discussing about who and what are the men that we are talking about, what kind of men are we talking about. And what is easy life? What is the meaning of life in the end? It's all somehow being incorporated within economics discussions back in those days. And to put it simply in our modern context, the Islamic economics, not the banking ones, but attempts to somehow include Islamic worldviews, kind of a metaphysical claim that humans are not greedy. It's not by nature greedy. Again, if you look at the modern economics today, there's no assumption of that sort. It's just assumed basically this is with one or two premises and that's it. No discussions at all. Islamic economics, I mean the one that I've heard from the scholars here, I think it's being based in here. What are they trying to do is include this Islamic kind of a spiritual element. You see that the man itself is not greed and our life and there's a kind of a harmonious balance to it. That it's not that we are basically in scarce resources all the time, so all those things. So there's kind of a dimension of metaphysics there. What else?
Value.
Sorry? Value.
Discussions about value.
Okay, this is the most important part that's missing. Value.
Nature, value.
Not just the nature or not just moral values, but which basically refers to kind of a labor values. You will do that later, but okay, this side. Yeah, okay, sorry. Equality. Yep. There's equality part of it. Okay, what do you mean by equality? 12. In what sense? You're on right, right?
Value of wages.
The value of the wages itself. Where does it come from? All those things. Okay, that's good. Okay, others, come on. I'm gonna go with very quickly if no one speaks. So everyone has to speak in a way. Okay, now scared. Everyone's scared. Okay, I'm just gonna see
Hold on, come on.
the whole
Give us
kind,
something.
the
Give
whole
us something.
humankind. Sorry, utility. Okay, what do you mean by that though? Here and now. It's very secularism by definition, isn't it? Okay. Very unnatural. Depends on the needs and usefulness, right? So, okay, utility, if you remember the discussion about Adam Smith, we talked about utility. Utility is not being defined as satisfactions or kind of like hedonistic satisfactions. We're looking at more the usefulness of the good itself. Like water, for instance, have greater utility because it's more useful to humankind compared to diamonds. Despite diamonds being more expensive and more maybe satisfactory in many ways. It depends on who you are. Maybe if you are the wife of a prime minister, you might appreciate more the diamonds. If, again, we're not talking about Malaysia here, it's a very broad context. And okay, I'm going to switch every time here. So, coming on these sides, okay, those who fail to respond, that side will have to go through everyone in a way. So, okay, I'm just going to switch from, okay, you have to rescue for your kind, right? So that side, anybody, I'm counting to 3. 1.
The role of the mind.
Sorry?
How the role of things in life.
The role of things.
Yes, basically when you say about labor and also the capital itself.
Sorry again, capital itself.
The role of, I mean, the role of capital, the role of labor itself.
Okay, the role, what are the functions of
Yeah, function.
I mean, okay, in the modern economics we have that too, but what differs with the classical economics that all these particular things, capital, labor, it's not just thing in itself, it reflects the social relation within the society. Okay, that's a very good point. Yeah, there's a kind of a social relation. Okay, this side, okay. It's not a fair battle because you have more people there. But again, hey, life is not fair. There's a people who can't come, or people who come, so what to do? In a way, you cannot switch party, by the way. It doesn't apply, it's not a democracy where you can switch party and then just run for different election. Okay, this side, I'm going to count for 3, 2, 1. Yeah. How they view the best interest of the people. Okay, maybe you can explain a bit on that. It's okay, I mean, you can explain in Malay or in English or Chinese, and then Jeremy can translate it to us.
Basically, capitalism view the best interest of people is like this, and socialism is more like.
Okay, they have a different view of how
How
their
self-interest should be
system
maximized.
serves. Is that true? Okay, there's a kind of a different target interest. Just relax with thinking for a while. Okay.
But isn't it that they claim to serve everybody's interests? In fact, they serve only one class's interests?
Yeah.
You're supposed to support your own team.
I am expanding on that point.
Okay. It is nonetheless. Okay, so we're just gonna throw ideas for a while. Okay, we have from this team A, team B. This, so there's a DAB
Then DB should be here, representative.
Lim Guan Eng is here, by the way. Okay, anybody from here? 1. Colin,
Okay, pass
anybody
the
from this side? Anything that somehow you have in your head says, okay, this is Adam Smith, this is anything. Anybody from this? Yeah.
Use of resources.
The use of it. Okay, what do you mean by that?
How people use those resources, for example, maybe for
capitalists, maybe they tend to use it with lots of exploitation. And then the thing is how people try to behave to this something that.
Okay, interesting. I mean, again, you might like just, okay, that's true, that's what I'm saying. If I'm going to say something, then you might, that's the right, that's what I'm going to say. But again, are you saying that there's a capitalist and there's a laborers and they have their own behavior? Indeed, they are.
He just made you do the job that you asked him to do. Now that's a capitalist. That's a capitalist. That's a closet capitalist.
Sorry, you were saying?
How people behave towards resources.
How they behave towards resources.
Yes,
So back in classical economics, it's a bit, it's a kind of a different from the modern economics, I assume.
Maybe the thing is
But I think one thing that's quite clear is the very usage of the word capitalist in labor. You don't really find those things in modern economics anymore. You don't talk about capitalists. I mean, if you are basically a Marxist, you talk about capitalism in a way. But if you are within the modern economics, within the mainstream economics, you don't really talk about
They don't really
capitalists.
posit the conflict of interest between
Yes,
two camps,
exactly.
right? They try to
Yes.
mask it, right?
Basically,
In a
just
neutral
recognize-
language, yeah.
There's a two things. There's two things here. First, you don't use the word capitalist anymore. You might use the word like owner, producers.
Mm.
You use the word. What are the words that you use, by the way, to refer to those? I mean, do you find the word capitalist in one of the concepts that you use to analyze anything?
Nothing.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, as even use the word producers. Use the word what? The companies, corporates, sorry? Entrepreneurs. Exactly. That's a very nicely put. Entrepreneurs. It sounds very good. I mean, if you are into business, you're the one that I'm entrepreneurs and using your card and everything. So, okay, first, that's the first thing. It's the missing of the words. Missing of the words. Second, it's the missing of the conflict of interest that he mentions. When you have capitalism, you have labor. See, it's being used. Even the context is being used in the modern economics today doesn't somehow show that there's a conflict between the capitalists and the labor. You see this in Ricardo, you see this in Adam Smith, you see this in Marx, obviously. All of these three towering figures acknowledge that even those two particular class have a conflict of interest. But again, when you look at modern economics, it's being hidden away. Now you're talking about entrepreneurs and producers and workers, these are workers, employers, employees, and all those things. The concept of labor, the concept of where you have to serve someone by force sometimes, no longer there. That's a very good point. I give you 2 points for that, because there's 2 people talking about it. So there's 2 people have to talk from this side too. So yeah. Jeremy, you want to say something? No?
Nothing or something else.
Okay,
DAP has to contribute more.
You have
Come
to
on,
think
DAP.
of something very Okay, by the way, those at the back is basically from this side. I don't care. It's really from this side. So you can't run away. You can't run away. It's trying to balance out the kind of ratio that we have here. So anybody from this side, I need 2 people to talk something about what we've learned throughout the classes. It's okay. There's the E classes that you attend. So what is it about though? Yeah. About the classical economics that what you've learned at least. In general. Or in particular. Depends. So is that a bad thing or is it good?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
So-
At least it's an exposure for us.
Oh, okay.
It's not every day that we do all these things.
I'm going to be skeptical with the answers, okay? Am I going to give marks to that?
You didn't answer the question.
Okay, it's 1. There's another one still. Yeah.
Manipulating others to achieve other things.
Manipulations, yeah? Okay, interesting. In what sense? Who are manipulating it?
The book, they manipulate they want to give the benefit to labor, but manipulate the condition to make the capitalist do something to improve the labor condition.
Right.
Okay, okay, I'm a bit worried to be honest. Because now, as if suddenly you guys are Marxists, you know. Congratulations, welcome to the club. But, no, I mean, yeah, I got the impression at least that everyone thinks that capitalism is bad now.
Yeah.
But I would agree with that in a way. I'll jump into your boots. But I would love to have opinions that maybe a bit more like, capitalism is nice.
Just so you could bash it down, right?
Okay, let's put it this way. Okay, what is the time now? I'm just gonna, before 10, 9:50, I'll stop and then we can properly look at the topographies, look at the maps, mapping of the whole idea into this course. Just from this side, give me two benefits of capital, or capitalism and free markets. This, again, we've seen so far, there's a lot of discussions about that. And this side, of course, another two. Different ones of this. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go with that side first, yeah.
Trade.
There's a, okay, what? Trade is a process. What about trade? That is so useful for us.
Free trade that trade account.
Sorry? So yeah,
I would say that, I mean, if you were to discuss in the sense of the ideal type of the free market, in the ideal free market, there will be competition. So, in free market capitalism, theoretically, where there's competition, efficiency would increase, and then price should decrease for the consumers. So it can only be good for the consumers in a truly free market economy.
Right.
Right? So, plus point for capitalism, which claims itself to be a free market economy, but we see how that is not
But
necessarily
the
true.
thing, I mean, you're supposed to like give one reason of hope in support of capitalism, but the way you frame it, no, it's good, but it's not really.
I'm giving you like the standard argument for
Yeah,
free
okay,
market.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah, and then from the back, yes,
Benefit of capitalism.
free markets. Let's put it that way.
I guess satisfy human interests.
Mm.
That's the main point for the benefit of all people.
Satisfy human interests.
But
No
in a
more
sense-
hands up.
it
I guess
reminds
I'm
me
not-
of-
I failed to make your marks.
But in a sense,
Sorry.
but in a sense that, but in a sense that inequality and kind of a
So, if I put it this way, it satisfies human interests, but not all, only the few.
Yes, yes.
Well, not all, but there
well-
are always people being abandoned from the whole process.
It brings to mind what Adam Smith said. We don't expect our dinner from the generosity of the bread maker or whatever. You know, we expect our dinner from the self-interest of these people who are selling stuff for themselves, right? So, yeah, I guess in that way, it promotes the pursuit of self-interest, which might not necessarily be a bad thing.
It's self-interest.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of whose self-interest are you putting up more.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
to be honest, it's in theory, supposedly Adam Smith envisioned that when everyone is actually pursue their own self-interest, we will go to somewhere where everyone's benefits.
Yeah.
Though one
Right.
would argue that everyone's benefits, but not to the levels where one should. The workers, yeah, they benefit a bit, but not good enough sometimes. But they were made to believe, at least according to my readings to it, they're made to believe that that's good enough. Okay, that's an interesting point. I'm trying to rebut it. We'll go to this side first, yeah.
Less dependent on government.
Is that a bad thing? Or is it a good thing?
It depends on how good your government is or how normal.
Depends on the government.
Less dependent on government. Okay. Look at that subtle message here. I never write anything that goods about capitalism. Just write about bad things here, and then nothing goods in Manila. Just okay, that's true, but then. Anyway, okay. Anybody else? Karl?
A bad effect, right?
Sorry.
Bad effect.
Sorry. Benefit.
Yeah, negative effect.
Yes.
About capitalism, you went, right?
Right. The positive.
Positive, not negative. Oh, positive.
There's a positive things about capitalism. So let's talk about that. Free market, okay, let's put it free market because capitalism kind of already put them in a pejorative sense.
Rapid development.
Efficiency is already been mentioned just now.
Rapid development.
Rapid development, that's true. That's very true. You have to understand here, Marx even acknowledged there are many, in fact, benefits of capitalism. And in fact, he even to the extent said that without capitalism you can't achieve this. But also with capitalism, you achieve all the negative things too that comes along. And how do you balance that out? Or maybe you have to change the new system that takes the good things from capitalism, or at least the good things from the outcome of capitalism. Then we moved on to some other new systems and new kind of economic arrangement. Anybody from here? Another one that is from on pro-capitalism, pro-free market. Sorry, pro-free markets. Innovation.
Yeah, creativity.
Explain to that. Explain why. Why in capitalism? Why in a free market systems where innovation seems to flourish?
You need to compete. Have to compete.
Self-interest.
You have to compete. Okay, there's two things here. There's a self-interest. Self-interest is the core of it, but it's branches into two things. First, incentive. In the sense that if you produce more high-tech stuff in a way, or all those things, you get more profits.
Yes.
But the second thing is, if you don't do it, you die. You lost your company. So there's kind of an incentive and a risk. So all those two components somehow drive you to be more to be more creative and innovative, because there's a pressure to get more and also not to lose more. In a way. Okay. Let's put an end to that now. In a way. So there are two things I'd like to add here. Yeah, I think it's really important that we're going to see later when you look at the transformation problems, Marx and Ricardo is first totality. The word totality is, to me, is very important in a way, because economy, one thing that you find quite clear, even though it's not being practiced by all classical economists, but the kind of discussion that they have, they discuss economy as a totality. You're not talking about simpler particular models here and there. You're talking about how economies in a very general sense that cover the whole spectrum of economic process. So Marx was talking about this kind of things. I mean, he was trying to understand that economy cannot function by looking at one specific model or one specific element, and then you have to somehow connect all the dots and form the bigger picture. This is what I think is missing in the modern economic speak, because you are so obsessed with particular things, you are obsessed with the concrete details, you miss the bigger picture. You're focusing on the business model. You fail to see how business are related to bigger pictures, to levers, to all spectrum of economic relations. So this kind of a totality, I think, is something that I think I really urge you. In fact, after that you've done with the classes, that you picked up, you put them in your head, and every time you read any economic books and study any economic lessons, try to connect it to the bigger picture. How does this system be able to somehow produce wealth, support the leap? There's a more dimension that we mentioned as well, and not just one particular element, not just a job sector. Because again, on the surface, you might think of the job, it's going to create more jobs, blah blah blah. But if you look at the other sides of it, then you realize that more jobs doesn't mean anything, because the cost of living is getting higher and higher in a way. So that's one of the things that I think it's something that's quite obvious if you look at the classical economists. The second thing is, how do you put this? I'm going to use the word abstract concepts. Abstract concepts. It's related in a way that if you're talking about the whole process of economy, you can't talk everything. You have to somehow try to generalize. You have to somehow create a kind of abstract concept for you to see what are the connections between this particular elements, element X and element Y. So there's a risk where you have to generalize and categorize and somehow systematize in a way for you to be able to see the bigger picture and the connection between the points. But also, this particular thing will give birth to two things. More philosophy. Once you go go to the once you play with the concepts, you're playing and totality and all these things. You're looking at the frameworks and how do you see economic functions. And like any other disciplines, I'm not trying to say philosophy is the best thing, whatever it is. But if you look at science, for instance, science, you know science, right? Science. Once you talk about the framework of looking at science, you're already in the sphere of philosophy, in the sphere of epistemology. Anyway, how do you see science? How do we make sure that this is scientifically true? It's not just a question of methodology, but it's a question of whether this particular information, this particular data is relevant, classified as truth or true in a way. Those are philosophical concepts, philosophical discussions. The second thing is, I think, this is the where you somehow leads to the heterodox economics. It's non-equilibrium. I know it's spelled like this now.
Non-equilibrium.
Yeah, non-equilibrium economy. If you look at the revivalist discourse of economics today, the heterodox economics, as far as I'm concerned, one of the things that they picked up from the classical economists is that economy doesn't function in non-equilibrium states. What does he mean by that is this: all these models that we have, the demand and supply, this basic price mechanism model, this price production model, that assumes that economy is somehow very static. In a sense that there's going to be a one-point equilibrium price that you can identify, and you can calculate the numbers and pick it up, and somehow make another parallelism with another equations and kind of make comparisons. There's a limitations to it. I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but when you see because economics, as understood by the classical economics, especially at least Marx, that economics are constantly changing. It's very dynamic. There's a lot of force and relations that are at work, and to assume that there's a kind of a one point that you can find is a kind it's kind of misleading, because what's better, or at least what is the best way to look at economics? To look at the forces. What are the forces influencing the price? Obviously, to find the price, the equilibrium price, is impossible. Modern economics today, we have a demand and supply. Demand and supply, there's an equilibrium point, right?
Yeah.
One thing that every economist is going to tell you that no one's really know, and there's no.
Yeah, the long run equilibrium does not exist.
It doesn't exist. But we still assume and we still somehow operate our economic readings and economic study based on this one point that we assume is going to be there, and we can calculate it, and somehow we can make an equations out of it. So it is partly true. I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but what's missing here is not just to look at the points on the dot on the graph, but to look at the influences. What are the things that really govern the interaction between demand and supply, the labor, the wages, and what are the things that actually somehow underlying forces that create and also somehow control the kind of society that we live in a way. So this non-equilibrium point is what is being brought back. But the historic economists, there's many strands to it, but one of the famous historic economists is Steve Keen. I assume I was told by the organizer he's going to come next semester. Steve Keen is a very famous economist, not a Marxist. He's an anti-Marxist bit, but it's okay because I don't find myself that Marxist anymore after teaching you guys. Yeah, just kidding. But in that sense, yeah. So these are the things that I think you have to pick up. You know, more. But okay, let's look at the things that we've learned so far. You want us to start with Adam Smith till Marx, or you want to start with Marx till the end, till Adam Smith? Anybody wanted to start with Marx and then reverse back, which I think is quite a creative way to do it. But if you want to start with the very beginning, Adam Smith.
Yeah.
Adam Smith first? Yeah. I don't know. Okay, Marx team. Anybody? Marx team? As in the one.
I don't mind doing it creatively.
Want to start with Marx? Okay, there's 1 or 2. The others want to start with Adam Smith, I assume. Adam Smith team. Okay, you guys are just two bunch of busy people. You eat already, and then you're like, okay, that's it. I'm just gonna lie down and wait this guy done speaking and go back home.
So by that way, the Marx team wins.
So again, I want you to be active, and this is gonna be our last class, by the way. So try to be more active in a way. Okay, this is civil war movie, right? So I'm gonna divide into two teams now. The Marx team. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, this is not to say you support Marx, okay? We're gonna start with Marx and then we go back to Adam Smith. So Adam Smith's team is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8. Are you right? That is right. So you guys don't. So you guys are the Iron Man team, I assume? Yeah, you guys watch it already, no? Okay, so but you know who win lah. We have the right.
Are you going to use the things on your method? Are you going to use?
But I think after we're done, we're going to look at this. Oh, maybe the creative way to do it is. I'm going to do the typing. You guys are not talking. Okay, let's talk about Marx here. You guys have the slides, right? Okay, how do you start? What are things that we've learned so far about Marx? First thing, not his lifestyle or whatever. That's bullshit and it's rubbish. Okay, that's exploitation of labor is a bit too far. But there's a labor theory of value, right? Labor theory of value. Okay, what does it mean? Actually, this is already too far. First, we're talking about commodity. What kind of commodity are we talking about here?